Good morning to my morning live here on YouTube, my channel. For 50 years, I've been creating a world called the Realms of Elsewhere. I sculpted it, first of all, in 1977 until 1993. I sculpted it and then painted it because I'm dyslexic. I couldn't write about it, so I wrote the words with clay and paint and made, I suppose, hundreds of sculptures and had exhibitions for the work over those years, eventually ending up in Liberties, Harrods, Chelsea, and Piccadilly. And this is one of the posters for one of my exhibitions. So this is a 7th annual exhibition in Norfolk. And yeah, that was a poster that I designed. And I'm just drawing this little fella who is Uncle Faraway's young apprentice. So I haven't drawn him since, which is interesting, really. I'm not quite sure why. I came across the poster because I'm drawing live every day. I'm looking for material, things that would be interesting to others. Later on live, I'm drawing a hand, the hand of Eldrin, who was the key maker in my books. He features in this book as Eldrin, so I've illustrated and written 9 books, and he is in chapter 6, the Master Keymaker. Yeah, and obviously I've illustrated these books. It's amazing to see your work come to fruition as a shaped book. So I'm about to raise funds for book 3, so that's all interesting too. Anyway, here I am for half an hour. And I always say to people, just come and chill. I might tell a story or I might just be doing my thing, which is quite common to be doing my thing. If I'm telling stories, generally I'm just working on them, telling them for the first time sometimes. They've never existed before. And because my world that I illustrate, there's only so many illustrations in a book. There's about 20 in each book. So there are lots of illustrations that I don't put in or don't quite reach that stage. I drew a wizard yesterday called Falabaji. Actually, is he here? No. And as I say, today I'm doing Eldrin's hand and the key that he holds in his hand. So I'm wondering what's going on there. When I was making sculptures, I would often write things, hidden things in sculptures. They might be their arm between, she's counting leaves in the spring before they're created, is Merlin riding his horse. It's one of my fairy villages. So I would often, because I work small, I'd often hide things, sometimes in plain sight. I have certain numbers that I like. 9 is very important, hence the fact I've got 9 books. 3 is important because it can be multiplied to 9, and of course also we live by the number 3. 3 things. We talk about it in our speech all the time. Have you been down to, that place? No, not that one, this one. You need the pattern of 3. It's an interesting thing. 10 is important because, let's do another 10 there. It's the beginning of a new cycle, i.e. 1. My wife likes 22, and I think lots of people have their own numbers. I'm not massively keen on a 5. We'll come to that, an 8. But 2 8s are like 2 circles, of course. And that then reminds me of realms. Certain times of the year when the veil is very thin. So what I'm doing here basically is finding a pattern. Each area is a pattern, if you like. He's got this amazing beard, and I want to show it against this surface. So I might leave that surface just shadow rather than a pattern. This is his backpack strap. There's quite a lot of weight going on there. It's going to be pulling on it. Like that. So he is the apprentice to Uncle Faraway in the lands that are far away, yet are close by. Yeah. So here is Fabergé that I was just talking about. So this is my sketchbook from the late 80s. Oh, sorry, the late 70s into the mid 80s. And I made him eventually. He was really difficult to make because he had bits and pieces that moved. So it was really complicated to make. I keep notes on everything, so I have lots and lots and lots and lots of notes and stuff over the years. And because I've been doing this for 50 years, what's happening now is that people are joining my lives and my films and just sitting, enjoying, chilling out in that world. I'm going to stop drawing just at this very moment because just next door I've got a drawing that I did today and yesterday that I'd like to show you, which is part of this. So here we are. That was the wizard I drew yesterday. The day before, sorry. Had great fun drawing him. I used an indenting process here. So you press into the paper with a sharp tool, or at least a metal tool, and then you put your pencil on its side, and you it's a bit like brass rubbing actually. It's like a process of brass rubbing, so it can be incidental marks or more particular marks, and it's a really interesting process. That was one I did the day before. So every day somebody's winning one of these, and yeah. So it's I'm having great fun revisiting a lot of work, and also giving people a concept of, like, this is a good example. Thank you, Benny. This is a good example of being dyslexic. as a child in school, in high school, I could not read well, and I did not understand what was going on when people wrote things on the blackboard. I would get lost in the middle of words and what have you. So I started making up words in my world. When I created my world, um, oh, here it is. Let me show you. So in every book, there is a map. And this is a good example of my world. This is called the Realms of Elsewhere. There are 32 countries, and they're big countries. It's surrounded by a giant sea, and beyond, in the northeast, is the land of giants and the old slumbering dragons from long ago. And this is the island of Humble. And there are other places. It's the islands of the Nargs, seafarers, and they live in a place where the sea is on fire. Here is land of Omeron, Yarek, volcanoes, dwarfs, land of the dead, the towers of Maratharith of the white clouds, and so it goes on. So it's a big world. It's a big world, and requires me to create books about it, really. And to create the books about it, I needed to initially be able to write, and I couldn't write because of the dyslexia. So eventually, after a number of years of sculpting, I became a storyteller. I travelled around the world and I told stories to 1,000 people, 10,000 people. On it went, year after year, until now. So I started that in 1993, so 32 years later, 33 years later, told stories to about 55,000. I've told 55,000 stories and it's just over 250,000 people. Crazy. Crazy. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. So whenever I've drawn faces, I nearly always start with the eyes. There's something about eyes. When I meet people, I tend to look them in the eye to see who they are. Not in any kind of aggressive way, but who are you, really? Who are you, really? I was telling stories last night, which was about an hour and a half, and somebody in the audience let their camera go off flash. They were obviously trying to take a photograph of me. I was playing my kora, my African harp, before getting deeply into story. And there was this flash. And I said, "You can't do that." I just stopped. "You can't do that. It's not because I don't want you to take a photograph of me, if that's what you want to do. But we're not going to stay here." And the audience looked at me as if, "What do you mean by that?" "We're not going to stay here. When I tell stories, our imagination clicks in. And when that happens, I'm going to leave a bit of light around this flute to make it look as if it's already playing, which it probably is." I said, when I'm telling stories, when a person is telling stories, old, young, man, woman, whatever, there is a sense of magic going on. And for me, we leave the room, we leave the theatre, and we enter the place that the story is taking part in. So if I'm describing a bridge, I'm walking across the bridge. The bridge is swaying because it's a suspension bridge. Suspended in the air, I walk. Birds are singing above. A storm is coming. I hear the rattle of thunder in the distance. We've left the room. And if you flash, your camera. Every single one of us will return to the room and not be on the bridge. They realized what I meant. And by the end of the evening, they knew that the power of anyone telling a story, you, me, the someone else's. You walk down the street and you meet somebody. Hi. And you get talking and you can see when they're not interested, they start glancing around. They're not listening to you. They're not in your story. Whatever your story is. I haven't bought these shoes. They fell apart after 2 days. Whatever it might be. A simple story or a story about a grandfather you haven't seen for years. You've been ill, whatever it might be. If the person is not listening, they're not in the place that you are. So the whole thing is two-way. Every meeting you have in the office, at the shop, the person behind the counter who only ever gets glances as money's exchanged one way or another. When that person engages in a conversation, or they might say, "I really like your scarf." I'll say, "I love scarves. What have I got on today? I've got a green one on today. I love unusual scarves. And my wife buys them for me whenever we go somewhere special. I have a lot of scarves. And I might add to that, I was in Bath. It was a Christmas festival. Streets were packed. And the shops were open late. And there was this shop selling these amazing scarves. And I just had to have one of them that I really, really liked. And ever since, it's been my Bath scarf. And that's the way it is. No doubt that is the way it is for everyone. There are associations with objects and associations with places. He's got a very long beard. So association with objects, associations with places. The place you met somebody for the first time. The place where you saw somebody for the very last time, never to see them again. Memorable. Perhaps by a river, over coffee. They died the next day. Something. I was in a queue paying for food, and I saw this lady who was going to say hi. She's the mother of a friend, and I saw her looking really busy. And the next day, I got a phone call to say that she had died, collapsed at home, and died. And your mind just flashes back. But I saw her yesterday. I know, but she got home and felt ill in the evening, collapsed. Doctor came and she died. Had a massive heart attack. And your mind tries to make sense of it and recall the moment. For me, as a storyteller, having entered hundreds, if not thousands, of stories and told them over and over again, each time they grow, they change, they develop, you see new things, they become you. You become the person that crossed the sea over 8 nights. You're the person that flew up into the air and reached the top of the highest trees that touch the clouds. And that freedom of the imagination transfers itself into other places. I need to do his arm here. I've got it kind of drawn out. I did it very quickly. Kind of like that to have a flow. So in our lives, everything is fleeting, in truth. It's going to have a little thing there. And I just need to give this some shadow, because this is raised. Like that. And with my very light, I'm pulling the pen backwards. What I mean by that is I'm taking the weight off it. So I don't put too much ink on the page. Is that famous 3? Didn't do that on the other. Should have done it. So everything has a resonance because it's so fleeting. So you can do one of two things. You can panic, or you can settle back and just go, I want to be here. I want to be here and now. Which reflects in the sense of the story. If you're not on the journey, and of course it's a metaphor, if you're not on the journey, if you're on your phone and you're not really in the forest at all, you won't really hear the birds singing. You won't hear the trees creaking in the wind, a dog barking in the distance, someone calling out to their child, the rustling of leaves as a squirrel passes by. These things become irrelevant because you're not really there. So I'm often saying to people, mobile phones are amazing. I'm using one right now to transfer this image to you. However, they deny us being somewhere. If we have them on when we're in somewhere perfectly beautiful, like a waterfall, a forest, a field, the whatever is beautiful to you is denied. And that's an odd one. And it's going to get harder to resist as AI gets cleverer and cleverer. Are we here or are we not here? There's a lot of conversation at the moment about creativity going on. Doing studies, brainwave studies. What happens to the brain of a creative when they're sewing? When they're painting, sculpting, making something in iron or clay, wood? What's happening to their brains? And over again, the results are coming back of increased brain activity in the areas where there is healing and where the brain is relaxed and balanced. So for me, part of my balance, because I draw so much, is to go out walking and be there in the landscape just as much as I am in this landscape, using a different part of my body. There. I think I'm going to have to darken that a bit. So he's nearly finished. It's got a couple of things to do. So you get all the things that you need when you go on a journey. What do you need? Some pencil work there I need to get rid of. A bit messy. What do you need if you go on a journey? And is the journey life itself? I wonder. It is interesting. So he's got books on his back, an umbrella because there's likely to be rain. You always should be prepared and ready, just in case. So, yeah, there's the wizard he's an apprentice to. And it's another drawing of the wizard. I did a couple of days ago. Somebody won that in a competition. Yeah. And I'm going to show you what I'm about to do on TikTok. Because I'm sharing my characters. A cat. And there, where are you? Yeah, that's what I'm going to draw this morning and tell the story of. That's Eldrin's hand. So I'm going to use pencils and ink for that. And yeah, that's going to be in 10 minutes' time. So there, I will come back tomorrow, Saturday, and finish this on here, I think. I've got to put, just before I go, whoa. If you do have any questions, by the way, and you're not just passing through, always put them in the comments. I will respond and let you know what I'm doing. Whatever your question is, I'll try and answer it if it's related to what I'm doing. And maybe why I'm doing it as well. Don't know. I'm dyslexic too. I like to draw. I draw a lot of tattoo designs. Cool. That's really cool. Is it? I think it's really interesting that we dyslexics, and I know so many of them, are incredible at what they do. I'm sorry, I'm not talking about egos here. They are incredibly good at it because there's a lot of room in the head, I think. I don't know what Benny thinks here. We see the world in a certain way, and the dyslexia denies certain things, but it allows others. And there are some pretty good examples of people who are dyslexic, who are incredibly successful in business, and they approach things in a different way. The head of Virgin is, of course, a very good example, but there are plenty of them who just generally very. I don't know whether somebody like Benny, who's a tattoo artist, does designs, whether he too has a rapid creative mind. But there's something to do with the connection of the hands to something rather than the head. In storytelling, we call it the when you're hearing, whatever you hear goes, instead of going from the head to the heart, it goes the other way around. It goes from the heart to the head. It's an emotional response, not an intellectual one, because we can't do that bit, which is an advantage because it goes straight to our emotions. That's really interesting. And I must go. Thank you for being here, and call in again. I will be doing this most days for the next 3 weeks as part of my campaign. Enjoy, and thank you for being here. And that is The Wizard's Apprentice. And that is the poster from 1994. There he is. Yeah. Thank you.